Welcome. So today we're going to be talking very specifically about collectivism and collective outcomes versus individualism and individuality and outcomes that come by as a byproduct of decisions made viewed from an individualistic perspective. So what is collectivism? So collectivism is the collective outcome of everything. So let's say that the collective is everybody on Earth, all life, including animals technically, but let's limit it just for the sake of this video to human beings. So this is all of the human beings, yourself included. Individualism and individuality, what we're looking at is the person identifying themselves separate from the outcome, separate from the collective, and separate from the bigger picture. So, what we want to address is when we start to make decisions and take actions in our life, how can deciding to view it as an individual versus as a collective change the course of action that we might take? Nice deep breath in. Exhale in. Well, how I view it is, if, let's say, for example, someone's smoking a cigarette, they throw the tab end on the floor. Now, when that person threw that cigarette, they don't think it's a big deal. Why do they not think it's a big deal? Because it's just them doing it. It's their individual action. It's not everybody doing it. It's not a collective thing. By them doing it, there isn't all of a sudden millions on the floor. There's just one. And because we look at it as just one, we end up with many, many just ones. And when there's a lot of it, enough just ones, if everyone does it just once, about 7.8 million just ones that have just occurred. So let's go to that person's mind and let's imagine that we're inside their head and they're making the decision. Now, it's probably an unconscious decision. So in the unconscious mind, it probably deduces it's fine to throw this, don't worry about it, it's just a cigarette, whatever. But if we can intervene at that moment into our own awareness and our own consciousness, and we can say, actually, what about if I was to flick this? What about if I look at it from my actions being the outcome of the collective? So everybody, everything is doing what I'm doing. So by doing it, I'm giving permission for everyone else and everything else to do it also. Take a breath. And the danger of this really is quite massive when you think about it, because it's something as simple as someone just flicking an individual cigarette on the floor. Now, if you used to say they flick that cigarette, now 7.8 billion people are also, as a byproduct, going to flick their cigarettes all casually wherever they want. We would literally be in a world covered in tab ends. Now, you can apply this to everything. That's just one example. You can apply it to absolutely anything. Is it okay for you to do this action or make somebody feel this way or break something in a certain way because it's only one thing being broken? It's fine. The same excuses are used by people who call it sustainable hunting, where they claim that killing elk and deer is sustainable because really it takes one elk for them to survive for the best part of a year, whatever. Ultimately, what we know about this is that it wouldn't be sustainable if every single living human started doing it. Therefore, it's not really sustainable by definition, it can't be. So what we look at then is, if that's the case for that and that's so vastly accepted, then what else does it apply to? Now, we can't necessarily go into everything else and apply it to that, but what we can do if we want to see collective change is to make individual change, because if we accept that our individual actions and our individual behaviours contribute to the collective outcome of the whole world and all humanity, then what we should do is to be the actions that we seek to see in others. Now, by this what I mean is, if you would like people to be kinder, start being more kind. Don't do it for a thank you or a pat on the back, just do it because that's actually what you want your world to look like, that's what you want your world to be like. And by doing so, you'll find that over time it reflects back and it becomes like a mirror effect. You know, you go to somebody and you smile in that mirror, they're going to smile straight back at you. It's the same principle. Some people are obviously more resistant than others, but ultimately everyone just wants to be happy and have a nice life. Like whatever their picture of that is almost irrelevant. If you're kind to people, it will almost always be appreciated. And at the very least, you will be aligning yourself with your own ideals and contributing to the collective progress of all humanity, and contributing to the general niceness and happiness of our world. So take a breath in. So I think it's really important that we take a moment through our days, through our weeks, whatever it might be for you, you address why you're doing something that you've identified as being, let's say, less favourable for the outcome of everything. So if you litter, and you're thinking this isn't so bad, I'm just chucking a packet of crisps on the floor, it's not a big deal, someone will pick it up, then try thinking it from the perspective, as soon as you throw that packet of crisps, you're now telling every single other person on earth they have absolute permission to litter, basically, is what's happening. And what does that give us? Well, that gives us an incredible power, really. It gives us an incredible sense of self, because now we understand that we're not just I, but we're also all as well. We are everything, because our actions have an impact on everything, so therefore we're connected to absolutely everything. Now, that might seem a little bit out there, but it's really not, and just bear with me for a moment and actually consider why it isn't. So, we are a species that requires collective cooperation in order to achieve pretty much anything throughout history. If you look, nothing was done by just one person. Everything, maybe even if the idea started with one person, in order for it to manifest and become a reality, other people had to know about it, and then it would have never existed in anyone's mind if it was never shared. So nothing truly really has a great power more than accepting that our individual actions, our individual contributions have a major overall contribution to the collective outcome of everything. So what you're doing is you're giving yourself the power to influence your reality and your world around you. Now this truly is a power, and it can be easily overlooked and ignored and say, oh, it's not that important, it doesn't matter, it's just you. But actually when we do this, all we're doing is just postponing the inevitable, that one day we will have to take accountability and responsibility for the things that we do in our lifespan. And wouldn't you rather know that through your life you contributed to the positive growth of the world rather than the negative growth of the world? I mean, I know I would. And the only way really to do that is to address the things that we do that do have a negative implication, and how can we change that? How can we affect a change within ourselves, and how can we affect a change within others? And honestly, the best place to start is with yourself. Getting to the place where you are now aligning with and a living example of what you believe in, of what you understand is to be the truth, and what you understand is good and the best behaviour you could really apply for yourself in your lifespan. Nice deep breath. So what I want to do now is I want you to just think about this concept, and during this time of thought we're just going to take 3 full deep inhalations through the nose, full exhalations out of the nose, fully inhale everything you can and fully clear out the lungs completely until there's nothing left in the lungs. Then another 2 breaths will do the same. So in and out, and in and out, and in and out. Hold it out. Everything in and relax. Return to normal breath. And the reason we're doing these breaths, the reason why I like to cut it up with a breath every now and then, is just to refresh the mind, to create a moment where we separate ourselves from the constant thought of the body and the constant thoughts of our direct surroundings, and put ourselves more deep into the body itself, into the mind, and take a moment to just to switch to a different state of mental being in order to come back with a newly adaptive mindset that we can bring into the present, into this world around us and share with others. So I think it's really important to just, when you're taking information in, or when you're giving information out, or when you're discussing information, to take a small period of time in which you can just process and really utilise that information into your current mindset and awareness. And it doesn't happen instantly. And this is why we have disagreements in life, really, where you'll find somebody gives you a piece of information and it was interpreted incorrectly. You then deliver that response back before fully understanding it or fully integrating it into your awareness, so that you're aware of what they said, why they said it, etc., etc. It creates a disturbance then in the social interaction between you and the other person. So we can benefit massively from just taking a moment to just take a breath in and just exhale. Thank you so much for tuning into my video again. I hope I managed to get my point across in the way that I intended to. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Love to you all. Peace. Namaste.